we are so lucky to be joined once again today by our friends from the Wade Millett Memorial Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of NAMI Maine Talks.
Sure, happy to be here.
Perfect. My name is Jill Henderson, and I have the honor of serving as the Director of Development and Communications here at NAMI Maine. And I would love to have our guests introduce themselves.
Sure. My name is Ryan Soucie. I am the secretary on the Wade Millett Memorial Foundation board. And that's what I do by night. And by day, I am a high school counselor at Scarborough High School.
Amazing.
Hi, Jill. This is Casey Hamlin. I have been an active board member on the Wade Millett uh, Memorial Foundation for about 2 years. And by day, I am a licensed loan officer for Cross Country Mortgage.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much for being here. We've had you on as guests before, but for folks who aren't as familiar with our partnership, I would love to start out just by having you guys tell us a bit about the foundation and about the work you're doing in the community. We recently had your annual golf tournament again, so just to get us back, familiar into what the foundation's doing, could you give our folks a little intro?
Sure. So we began this foundation in 2022 in memory of our friend and colleague Wade Millett, who tragically died by suicide in March of 2021. We started this foundation off just as a group of, again, his colleagues and friends, just as a way to honor his memory and his legacy. And the initial goal was we're going to hold a golf tournament every year because Wade was an avid golfer. Um, we had our first tournament in September of 2022, and as you just alluded to, we just had our fourth annual tournament this past September. Since that initial golf tournament, we've kind of grown and we've expanded in our outreach in terms of what we do. But our sole mission is awareness, empowerment, and support. I mean, that is what our motto is. Um, and really, we're just trying to bring awareness to the greater society of the impacts that suicide can have, the rates of suicide, particularly amongst middle-aged adults. I think oftentimes especially male middle-aged adults, oftentimes we hear about suicides, in the younger population and maybe even the older population. Um, but middle-aged men just seem to be a demographic that, you don't really talk about it a whole lot. And that's what our friend was. He was a middle-aged male, very successful career-wise, but he was struggling. And so again, we started this as a way to honor him. Um, and yeah, we've done a whole lot of different things to
Yes.
raise awareness. I don't know, I'll let Casey jump in here and share his thoughts, but we've donated, around $60,000 to NAMI Maine through our golf tournaments. We have donated about $10,000 to the Good Shepherd Food Bank now the past two holiday seasons
Amazing.
to support those folks. We're about to have and I know we're going to jump into this in a little bit, but our second annual Wade Millett Memorial Golf basketball game at
Yeah,
USM.
we can bring it up. We'll plug it a few times.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we've just sponsored a number of different things, in the community. So we're very proud of the work that we've done, and yeah, just very happy about what the future might hold.
Absolutely.
Oh, I just would say, I mean, I think you hit on the head, Ryan. I mean, it's, you have done an amazing job, spearheading our board, and Wade's passing had a profound effect uh, on I know on myself and Ryan specifically. We were with him in his last days, and and I think one of the things that motivates us is we want to we want to Wade's name to carry on through the foundation and try to make some positives out of a tragic event. And I think that, that the board has done an amazing job with that. Like Ryan said, raising the money that it has and partnering with NAMI and all the great things that have come out of, of the situation. And, just if you knew Wade, he was, I don't know how to say this the right way, but he was just someone that you just, I kind of have a stereotype type of who's struggling out there and stuff like that. And just Wade wasn't that. He just didn't kind of fit that mold. He was exuberant. He was very happy on the outside and uh and so when this happened, it had such a big impact on the people that were around him because um yeah, he just didn't seem like he was struggling. And that was kind of one of the things that we kind of learned about this whole thing is just like, how much he really was struggling and didn't really say anything. And it was, so anyway, so not to go on about it, but it's just something that I think that, that I'm really proud of Ryan and the board and everybody involved that has turned such a tragedy into a really positive thing for hopefully making a difference in other people that are struggling.
Absolutely. And that's such an important, I think, message that you've carried throughout all of your work and how you communicate, in not only Wade's memory, but in, moving forward and through conversations, both with, we've done programming with USM, but also at your golf tournaments and the other messaging you put into the community is that mental health affects everyone, that there's no one look or there's no one set of signs or symptoms, and you don't always know from looking at someone what they're going through or what they're experiencing. And um, everyone has, all sorts of things going on in their personal lives and their professional lives, and whether it be at home or school, and you don't know unless people feel comfortable enough to talk. And creating those spaces where people are able to talk and breaking down that stigma that really keeps people from asking for help and for reaching out for support is so crucial. And it is really really so meaningful that that's been such a core part of your mission moving forward.
Right. And it is that empowerment piece, right? It's like, we want you to feel vulnerable, and it's okay to feel that way. And asking for help and reaching out is not a sign of weakness, and again, amongst males, sometimes that's what society said, that's the message that is put out there is, you need to be strong and it's hard to do, right? And if you need help, you need help. So yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. And we touched on it briefly, but we have been very lucky to work with University of Southern Maine, where Wade was an alum
Mhm.
and basketball superstar. And so now we are carrying on that program with the USM Athletics Department, which has been a really, really wonderful collaboration, not only between Wade Millett Memorial Foundation and NAMI Maine, but now bringing that into practice with USM Athletics. Last year, we started the program after, a couple years of the golf tournament and working together. We, started to think about like, well, okay, what does this money look like in practice? What
Right.
does this look like in person? How can we see this in our communities in a way that, honors Wade personally and honors your board and your efforts and all those things. So, we started working with the USM Athletics Department last year to offer suicide prevention and mental health trainings, not only for the student athletes there, but also for the athletic staff.
Mhm.
And we are very happy that that program is carrying on. We're going to be having our next round of trainings for student athletes and athletic staff in the coming semester, which is really wonderful, where our team is so excited to go back and to keep that program going. And the perfect time to also talk about the now second annual Wade Millett Memorial Basketball Games.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to fill the listeners in on those too.
Sure. So on January 31st, we will be holding the second annual Wade Millett Memorial Basketball Games at USM. As you mentioned, he was an alum and a teammate of Casey and I
Oh,
at
yes.
USM. He was a captain, a four-year player,
Mhm.
and really just a key contributor to not only the program during his time there, but was a strong alumni after he moved on from his playing days. So yeah, January 31st, we will be at both the women's and men's games, starting at 1 p.m. that day. And we're really looking forward to, again, just spreading our message and just seeing people and interacting with them. And, I know you all will be there
Yeah,
with a table with some swag, and we'll be there
of course.
with our message and our gear. And
Yeah.
yeah, just hopefully gonna try to raise some money for the board and for NAMI, and really just show support towards the student athletes at USM and kind of give back to that part of Wade's life, which I think was a very important part of his life. So yeah.
We really find that events like this, especially something, like sporting events, and, when you're trying to reach populations, especially say, populations like student athletes or, their parents, that kind of demographic of, adults and youth, that you want to communicate that message to and you want to have conversations. There's no better way to do it than to meet people where they are and
Absolutely.
to take that message to those events. And, you don't have to convince everyone to come learn about mental health
Right.
if you're at the basketball
Right.
game,
Yeah.
because who doesn't want to go to the basketball game,
Right.
So we really find that it's such an amazing opportunity to have conversations with people in real time where they may not feel comfortable, reaching out to your foundation or to NAMI Maine just on a random day. But if we're there in that space with that information, they have the ability to either have a conversation with us or take information that can serve them later or that they can share with loved ones. And so it really is an amazing act of awareness to go and like have those really productive conversations in person. So we're very excited for
Yeah.
the basketball games again this year.
Yeah, we are too. And in fact, that to your point, that happened last year. We
Mhm.
were at the game, and we were just there, and a stranger to us came up to our table and said, I want to thank you. And he was an older gentleman, definitely near retirement age, if not of retirement age. And he said, I want to thank you for being here today and spreading your message. He proceeded to share with one of our board members that when he was a young child, his father died by suicide. But at the time, it was taboo and you didn't talk about it and you kind of swept it under the rug. And so I think, growing up, just never really was able to process that and properly grieve and heal from that. And he happened to be there that day, and for him to be there was powerful for him, and he shared that with us. So that made us feel really good, right? Because we're there to we were there for the student athletes and the coaches and the university, but to have somebody who was just attending the game come up who we had never met before and share that with us, I think just validates what we're doing. So I thought that was very, very powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that is also such a testament to what you guys are doing when you talk about mental health, especially for men and adult men, where I mean that story, how well it illustrates that it is not long ago that it was completely taboo to have these conversations at all, and that even though there's still so much work to do breaking down stigma, like how far we've come in a short amount of time. But it also reminds you that a lot of the people that you walk around and interact with and talk with lived through not being able to process the events of their life, and especially men, and men of a certain age who didn't have support throughout their upbringing or felt they had to, maintain some sort of, you can't be too emotional, you can't talk about it,
Right.
or, you can't be the emotional one in the family, or,
Right.
all of those, compounding factors of stigma. It is so important to do this work now because those people who didn't get support, they're still people you talk to every single day.
Exactly.
Yeah, completely. Oh, I'd echo what you said, Ryan, and the day itself that we have this tournament, or not tournament, excuse me, the basketball games is a fantastic day. It's last year I think we had 20 to 30 former players and coaches show up. It wasn't just local people, flew in from, I think it was like, Carolinas, and people drove long distances to be there and support the cause, and it's also a great opportunity to talk to the coaches and the students about the subject. And I mean, it we love the fact that NAMI gives these guys the tools, or at least ways to kind of foresee when someone's struggling and how to handle those situations. I know that when we went through what we went through with Wade, it was kind of a panic situation, and you really don't know really how to react, and who to call and what to do, and so hopefully by doing this stuff, it gives them the tools to be able to handle those situations better and have a more positive outcome.
Well said.
Absolutely. And thinking about, USM and that partnership. I know the last time you were on the podcast, we were lucky to be joined by some of our student athletes from USM and some of the athletics team there. But today I wanted to, since I have, both of you here from the board, I wanted to talk a little bit about what it looks like to support peers and colleagues, whether it be after a loss or through just having destigmatizing conversations around mental health, how it looks to have those relationships as an adult. I think it is very common for people, especially adults who have families at home or have, the all that comes with professional lives and all those things, people don't always take the time they need to connect with others or to get the support they need. And it's always really, really just so unbelievably meaningful to us, like when we interact with your group, to hear adults, especially adult men, speak to other adult men
Mhm.
in a way that says, like, I'm here for you. People are here for you. Support is here for you. There is nothing wrong with you reaching out and getting support. And that's a message that you don't always hear from men to other men.
True.
And it really feels like the group of people, both men and women on your board, have created a really fabulous support network and really share that message among your own peer groups. I would love to hear a little bit about how this group kind of came together and what it's been like to support each other around this. You have this core of Wade's memory, and now you all support each other around that to make all these
Right.
magical things happen in his memory. But it takes that coalition of support. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about,
Sure.
how your board came together and how you do that.
Sure. So, I mean, I'll start. So I am an original member of the board, and honestly, other than Casey, the other board members I had never really met
Wow.
until Wade's passing.
Yeah.
I had heard of them. Wade would speak of them, but never met them.
Mhm.
And we had a celebration of life for Wade, shortly, after his passing, and one of our other board members, Paul Kent, who's the president of our board, kind of brought up the idea of doing a golf tournament, right? And so then it kind of took off from there, and a group of us came together as a board to put together the golf tournament, and I was encouraged to join, and I didn't even think about it. I was like, absolutely, for Wade, I'll do anything. And that's how I got to know, Paul and Eric and Jen and Kyle and John and all the people on our board, and Casey, who Casey and I have been friends for, I don't even know how long now, Casey, but a long time, close to 30 years.
Too long.
But the others, again, I didn't know, and fast forward, 4 or 5 years, and I honestly know I could call them for anything now, and we've become friends, and it's been awesome. And just to have this, again, to Casey's point, he said earlier, to have this tragedy, and how unfortunate it was to happen, but for us to be able to turn it into positives and make more human connections with people who we probably would have never met outside of this event. So that's kind of how it all started, and we can joke around with each other, and where it's like we're just kind of like a family, to be honest with you. We have a text thread, and we're always communicating with each other, and it really has become like a little bit of a family, which feels really good. So that's been my experience with the board. And I'll just say this too, like when you go to the golf tournament and you said, you can hear other men, like just talking with other men and supporting them and offering them their encouragement, like that's what it is. If you just walked into like our post golf or pre-golf and you just saw people being collegial, like you would hear that, and you would see grown men giving each other hugs and grown men crying, and like you don't see that enough, I don't think, because it's really, you know what I mean? It's powerful. And how many times I've had another adult male tell me that he loves me and like give me a hug, it feels really good to know that you have support. And likewise, I try to give that to others. And I know Casey's the same way. And but we genuinely mean it. Like we're here for each other. It's a crazy world out there, right? And we want to spread a little bit of positivity. So that's what we're trying to do. So that's been my experience.
Absolutely. Casey, do you have anything to share about your experience coming to the board, or how this kind of
Oh man,
network with the
I
program?
would just add to that. I mean, Ryan did a great job explaining and giving the history there, and I came in the last couple of years, so but I've watched from afar and just been, just blown away with the effort and the commitment that this board has. Like, there's an old saying, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future, and it kind of goes to it's a testament to Wade that he surrounded himself with these people, like these guys that worked with him are all very successful and caring, and Ryan, and it just speaks to Wade's character, and kind of like, and I think he lives through all of us in what we're doing to try to help memorialize him. And now the first year we had this golf thing, it was really mostly just people that knew Wade that I can think of, and now when we have it, there's a wait list. um, there's a lot of people that volunteer that, like, I'm like, hey, did you know Wade? Or like, how did, she's like, the person will be like, no, my dad committed suicide 5 years ago. Or, it's just like something where it's such a subject that is really, there's not, I don't know of any other golf tournaments around that kind of, um, that kind of support this subject, and because it affects more people than we think, that it has made it a really sought after event. So I'm really proud of everybody.
Absolutely. And we've been having a lot of conversations, here at NAMI lately, and, in the changing landscape of the world, and how to really communicate the fundamental message that mental health is health. that it is every part of like it is an equal part of your overall health as a human being. And just like the physical health of the community, there's mental health of the community. And it really it really feels like it takes, groups like yours and conversations like the ones that you're having with people of so many different fields, of so many different backgrounds, and a lot of folks that probably wouldn't normally hear that messaging or might hear that messaging and go, well, that's not about me. That's not about, I don't know someone that fits these stereotypical things, or that doesn't feel like myself. And having those conversations and connecting with people that mental health is part of your health, just like, and it deserves care. It deserves dedicated, whether it be treatment or maintenance, or all the things that our bodies need, our brains and minds need as well. And I think it can probably be easy for adult men to push off their physical health as well. That's never happened before.
Right.
But taking a message to a population that, has been told by society for so long that either you need to put your needs to the side if they make you feel vulnerable, or that you're not able to seek access to help because it says something about you or who you are as a person. I think these conversations really introduce to a room of people that may never have had a conversation like that before, ever.
Mhm. You've
And I think I would love to, hear from you two, just as, you progress in this mission, and as you progress in like these messages to the community, what are some things that you're excited to see, being that you work with these communities, especially adult men or athletes? What are some of the things that kind of have momentum that you want to really keep going as you move into the future?
Sure. I mean, obviously the golf tournament, I don't see us stopping that,
Yeah.
the momentum of that. And like Casey said, we have wait lists now.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's turning into one of the most exclusive clubs. But
well,
no, it really is so well loved in the community. And I grew up in a golfing family. I've been to many a golf tournament, and there are not many that I have seen 2 years in a row now, a full field in the rain.
pouring rain.
Pouring rain. I just, not one bit of
Nope.
hesitation. That
Nope.
room is every bit as packed.
Yep.
That, like, the full field, I think by the end there was maybe one group that
Sure.
that came in early,
Yeah.
but I mean, just such a
Yes. Yeah.
well-loved event.
Yeah, and again, that speaks to who Wade was, right, and in our
Heck
mission.
yeah.
But yeah, we're hoping next year that he'll maybe have a talk with Mother Nature, and we'll get some
Yeah.
sunshine.
Figured it out a little
Yeah.
ahead of
Not sure what he did, what he's done, but he's made somebody mad up there. It's caused it to rain. But so yeah, the golf tournament, and I think this partnership with USM, and not necessarily just the basketball game, but like the trainings and the outreach to staff and the student athletes. And I know we've talked this year about trying to do some different things and expanding upon that.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that continue to grow. As I said before, I'm a school counselor, and we support the Sources of Strength Club at Scarborough High School.
Yes.
And I want to give them a big shout out to the staff and students there. They do a tremendous job with that population, right? Also another population very vulnerable, and sometimes kids don't always want to talk about how they're feeling, especially the males. So they're doing a great job. They have about 30 to 40 student members, and they're doing all kinds of different outreach for the students there. So we're supporting them. We're hoping to try to get a couple of other Sources of Strength clubs and area schools that we know of. We want to partner, and we're happy to support those initiatives. So that's one thing. I've got grandiose ideas that I haven't really shared with anybody. They're in my own head, but when you talk about mental health, like, you know, we were very fortunate. We have a board member who is very connected to some professional agencies, sports agencies. And like this year, we had Jaron Duran from the Boston Red Sox
Yes.
sent us a video message. And if anybody knows his story, he's battled mental illness, really most of his adult life, and was on the verge of attempting, maybe even attempted suicide, not too long ago. But he provided us with a powerful video message supporting our foundation. And in fact, he even messaged one of our board members on the side through Instagram after the tournament. Our guy reached out and said, "Hey, we want to thank you." And he responded, like Jaron Duran responded to us. So
That's awesome.
we're getting out there. And, and then you think about like, the Dallas Cowboys, player that died by suicide earlier this year. The golfer a year or two ago, there was a professional golf player who died by suicide. So I would love to be able to like grow this even more, right? And we'll see what the future holds, but I don't see us stopping anytime soon. I think we're committed, and it's a lot of work, but we know it's for a really good cause. So
Yes, I cannot imagine a world where the area of impact of this group does not continue to grow.
Yeah.
And I mean even just, in our partnerships, whether it's, with USM or, college athletics or, however, those expand, the more spaces that get made for people to not only learn about mental health, but to make human to human connections around their mental health and around reaching out for support and having the really wonderful formula of having you reach out to, groups that are your peers, folks, especially like, the communities around golf or athletics and, adult men who, work together as colleagues, but, share things like golf as a pastime or like, sports as hobbies and bringing that conversation into places where that conversation has never been before. And for you folks to be the ones delivering that conversation, it it gives other people a sense of, you know, being able to put their guard down. Like this, this is another adult man who's okay with, hugging me and
Sure.
telling me he loves me. That's a lot more powerful
Yeah.
than, someone who looks like me going up to, an
Sure.
adult man and saying, it's okay to give hugs. It's okay to tell people you love them. And they're like, okay, miss, thank you. But to have a message of support and of, solidarity and of community come from someone who, you find yourself represented in is really amazing. So I just think you're going to continue to be in those spaces and to share that message and um I think we're all very excited for and so keep the big ideas
Oh,
going.
we will for sure, for
Absolutely.
sure. My mind definitely races with opportunities, so we'll see what the future holds. But and I want to thank you all for your partnership too. You all are fantastic in what you do to promote this within the larger community in the state of Maine. And I know it's a national organization, but your group in particular in the state of Maine, you do a fantastic job. And I've interacted with you on many levels, not just with this, but when we've had suicides with the students and the support that you provide. And so it's awesome. So thank you.
Thank you. We're very proud of our team and what we're able to accomplish. And I think a partnership like the one we have between NAMI Maine and the Wade Millett Memorial Foundation, it really shows how much more of an impact you're able to make when you have a group that's, like NAMI Maine that's so specialized in mental health and in, how to have those conversations and what tools you can offer folks and what it means to connect folks to resources. And then we have the amazing opportunity to work with groups like yours who take that information and near that, conduit that
Yeah.
get that electricity from us out to the community, like that we're not able to share that message without the connectors like your group and being able to connect us to the community. So it's really amazing. Um, I think we should plug those exciting basketball games once again, though, because
Yes.
I know this podcast is coming out before the games, and so
Yeah.
we're telling all of our listeners to meet us at USM
Yep.
that weekend of January 31st, right?
Correct. January 31st, 1 p.m. USM playing Keene State. So
Keene
that it's also
State.
a conference rival.
Go Huskies.
Yeah, go Huskies for sure. And both men's and women's USM teams are off to really good starts this year. So it should be two very good games that day. But yeah, just looking forward to getting everybody out there.
Yes, and I am sure, Casey, I'm gonna see you selling raffle tickets. Get that raffle tickets on apron on. We're gonna send you up into the stands again this year. Perfect.
Absolutely. I'm up for the challenge.
And if people are interested in learning more about the foundation or connecting with you folks, where should they go?
Yeah, so we have a website, www.wmmemorialfoundation.org. So wmmemorialfoundation.org is our website. We try to keep that updated as best we can. We also have an Instagram page, same WM Memorial Foundation on Instagram. And then we also have a Facebook group under the same name. So those are three avenues where we're getting our message out to folks.
Amazing. And if you are interested in connecting with NAMI Maine about either our programs or connecting with us to learn more about the Wade Millett Memorial Foundation, you are always welcome to reach out to us, whether by email, our helpline, or social media. We're always here and we're excited to connect with you. So thank you so much for joining us once again. And we're so excited for the basketball games, to continue this program with USM and for all the exciting things that we're going to do together.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.